Imagine, right? Just imagine being 19 years old.
Oh, to be 19 again.
Yeah, exactly. You've just moved out of your family home for the very first time. You have zero digital footprint, no cell phone whatsoever, and you are about to drop a staggering 162 pounds.
In physical hard cash, mind you.
Right, in hard cash on a grocery run where exactly 72 pence goes toward actual food.
I mean, it sounds like the setup to a joke, right?
No.
But it is entirely real. We are looking at hard documentary evidence of a genuine coming of age moment.
We really are.
We're looking at the exact blueprint of basically how to start a fire that burns for half a year.
Welcome to the deep dive. For you, the listener, today is a highly personalized archaeological excavation of your own youth.
A very specific slice of your youth.
Exactly. We are transporting you back to late 1988, roaring right into 1989. You were 19. You had just secured a 2-bed, top-floor flat in Battersea.
Huge milestone.
Oh, massive. And you were living with your boyfriend, Matthew, who was 18, and your best friend, Anne, who was also 18.
So, 3 teenagers, right? Newly independent, just figuring out how to exist in a top floor flat in London. And, the moment you secure that kind of freedom, the immediate psychological impulse is to share it.
Naturally, you throw a housewarming party.
You have to.
Mm-hmm.
But according to your memory, this wasn't just like a polite gathering with some cheese and crackers.
No, not at all. You told us that this specific party spiraled into this legendary event. It pulled in tons of friends, a whole bunch of newly recruited neighbors, and your friend Colin, who showed up with a massive speaker.
The infamous speaker.
Yeah, Colin really brought the noise, and this party somehow sustained itself for almost 6 months.
Which, just on a purely practical level, is a staggering logistical feat. But the most fascinating part of your submission was a very specific claim you made about how this whole era kicked off.
Right, the food claim.
Yeah, you told us, and I quote, "I don't think we purchased any food."
Which is just a massive claim. I mean, a 6-month rolling party and no food. Well, today we are going to actually test that hypothesis.
We have the evidence.
We do. You provided us with 2 incredibly preserved physical artifacts from December 1988. We have a hand-drawn party invitation and a remarkably intact grocery receipt.
It's amazing you kept these.
Truly. So our mission today is to analyze this perfect storm of late 80s flat sharing and prove whether your memory holds up to the historical record.
And to really understand the sheer scale of a party that lasts for half a year, we first have to look at the mechanics of how people actually gathered, like before the era of smartphones.
Right, because getting 50 people into a top floor flat in 1988 required a completely different logistical skill set.
It really did.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's look at the invitation itself, because it is an absolute masterpiece of late 80s DIY communication.
It's beautiful.
At the top, in this large, bold handwriting, we have the date, 16th December 88. And beneath that, underlined, it proudly announces a housewarming Christmas party.
And right below the headline, we find the core social contract of the evening. It literally reads, "All welcome, but only with a bottle."
Okay, that parenthetical is doing so much heavy lifting.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, all welcome is the generous, expansive spirit of youth, right? Bring your friends, bring the neighbors, bring Colin and his massive speaker.
The more the merrier.
Exactly. But only with a bottle is the cold, hard, economic reality of being 18 and 19.
Yeah, it translates to, we want you here, but we absolutely cannot afford to subsidize your drinking.
It's a very clear boundary.
It is. But what's really fascinating here is the physical map you drew at the bottom of this page. Because drawing this map was essentially 1988's version of establishing a network router.
Oh, I love that comparison.
Right, because you had to plot the exact path for your guests, from York Road to Battersea Park Road, Falcon Road, Lavender Hill, and St. John's Hill. Because if a signal dropped, if someone got lost, there was just no way to ping the host.
You couldn't just drop a pin in a WhatsApp group.
Exactly. You literally shaded in a block and labeled it 26 first block top floor. And you included visual landmarks like the nearby shops and the Granada.
But I actually have a question about this. Why not just write down the address? Surely people knew how to find a building in London without needing a pirate's treasure map.
Well, not necessarily.
Yeah.
Especially not in Battersea in the late 80s.
Really?
Yeah, when you're trying to navigate the walkways of a London housing estate in the freezing dark, a street address is practically useless. The architecture can be totally labyrinthine. You need a lighthouse.
Ah, okay, so that explains the Granada.
Exactly. The Granada isn't just a building on this map. In 1988, Granadas were often the local cinema or a bingo hall. It was a massive illuminated piece of commercial architecture.
So you used it as a neon beacon.
Yeah, to guide guests toward your estate when the streetlights just weren't cutting it.
That makes perfect sense.
And
But
we
even with the Granada, you didn't fully trust them to find the door, because the most critical instruction on this entire invitation is actually the meeting point.
The pub rendezvous.
Right. You wrote, meeting in the Pine Tavern at 7 p.m., then on to 26 Jansen Walk.
It is the ultimate analog filtering system.
Explain that a bit more. Why not just tell people the party starts at 8 p.m. at the flat?
Because you don't want people arriving sober, in a chaotic trickle, ringing your buzzer one by one while you were still desperately trying to tidy up or mix drinks.
Oh, the worst feeling.
It is. By corralling everyone at the Pine Tavern at 7 p.m., you accomplished two massive things. First, you built a critical mass of people, so nobody had to be the awkward first guest at the flat.
That is so smart.
And second, you outsourced the awkward first hour of the party to the local pub. They buy their own pints, the social ice is broken, and then you just migrate the whole herd to the flat at once.
It was basically a matter of social survival. Because think about it, if a guest missed that 7 p.m. window at the Pine Tavern, they were in serious trouble.
Oh, they were done for.
They were wandering the streets of Battersea in the December cold, desperately trying to read your hand-drawn map under a street lamp, probably just praying they'd hear the bass from Colin's speaker to guide them in.
It required genuine commitment from your guests. You couldn't just casually drop in. And to enforce that commitment, you utilized some truly incredible artwork on this invitation.
The doodles. The doodles are my absolute favorite part.
They are iconic.
In the top right, there's this little snowman wearing a scarf and carrying skis. Over on the left, a pair of identical twin Santas holding bells.
Very festive.
Very. But the real star of the show is on the right side of the map. It is a very large, slightly intense-looking cartoon rabbit. And coming out of the rabbit's mouth is a massive speech bubble that reiterates the core rule.
Don't forget to bring a bottle.
Yes.
It's a brilliant psychological tactic. You outsource the strictness to a cartoon rabbit.
It takes the pressure off.
Completely. You and Anne and Matthew are trying to be the gracious hosts of your new home, but you're also highly aware of your limited resources. You can't be the bad guys demanding booze at the door. So the rabbit becomes the enforcer.
The rabbit means business.
It really does.
But, demanding your guests bring a bottle is one thing. As the newly minted hosts of 26 Jansen Walk, you still had to lay down the financial foundation.
You have to prime the pump.
Exactly. You couldn't rely entirely on the generosity of 19-year-olds stumbling in from the Pine Tavern, which takes us to the second artifact you shared, the Gateway Food Markets receipt.
Ah, yes. This piece of thermal paper from store number 4142 in Clapham is where we finally put your memory to the ultimate test.
The moment of truth.
The timestamp on this is December 12th, 1988 at 15:15. So 3:15 in the afternoon, exactly 4 days before the party kicks off.
And the sheer scale of this transaction is just mind-blowing. The total balance due at the bottom of this incredibly long strip of paper is £162 and 16 pence.
Paid for in physical cash.
Yes. You handed over £162 and 50 pence and got 34 pence in change.
We really have to pause and calculate the economic gravity of that number.
It's huge.
In December of 1988, 162 pounds was not just a casual Friday night top-up. Adjusted for inflation, we are talking about the equivalent of well over 400, maybe even 500 pounds today.
Wow.
Yeah. For three teenagers who had just moved out of their family homes, dropping that kind of cash on a single shopping trip is a profound financial sacrifice.
It's a monumental investment in a good time. And remember your claim to us. I don't think we purchased any food.
The big mystery.
Well, we have gone through this receipt line by line, all 41 items. We scanned past the heavy spirits, past the mixers, past the endless pints of lager.
And right there, near the very bottom.
Yes, item number 38 is a single line that just says grocery.
And the cost of that solitary grocery item?
72 pence.
It's unbelievable.
72 pence. Out of a 162-pound shopping spree, you spent exactly 72 pence on something that might technically be classified as food.
But your memory was absolutely flawless.
Completely flawless. This receipt reads less like a grocery run and more like a tactical supply drop for a small, very thirsty army.
It completely reframes the narrative of the party, honestly. Because when you invest that heavily in supplies, you aren't just hosting a one-off evening, you are establishing a venue.
Wait, let me stop you right there, because 160 pounds of booze is a massive haul, but I need to challenge the logistics of this.
Okay, let's hear it.
How does one grocery run sustain a half-year bender? I mean, even with 41 items, a packed top floor flat with call and speaker going is going to drink that dry in a weekend, maybe 2 weekends tops.
You're not wrong.
Right, so I'm confused by the math of a 6-month party.
Well, that's actually the brilliance of the initial investment. The 162 pounds didn't physically last for 6 months. What it did was establish the culture.
The culture, okay.
Yeah, it created a gravity well. By providing this overwhelming initial baseline of alcohol, you instantly established 26 Jansen Walk as the undeniable hub of the neighborhood.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Once that reputation was set, the Rabbit's Rule, only with a bottle, took over completely. The initial haul trained your friends and the new neighbors to just keep bringing their own supplies, night after night, week after week. You seeded the ecosystem.
Ah, that makes perfect sense. You fronted the capital to start the engine, and the momentum kept it running until the summer of '89.
Exactly.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Let's dissect exactly what kind of fuel you were putting into that engine. Because this receipt is a flawless time capsule of the 1988 young adult beverage palette.
It's quite a list.
It is. Let's start with the heavy artillery.
The spirit selection really tells a story of sheer variety over curation.
Definitely.
The anchor, and actually the single most expensive item on the entire list, is a bottle of Smirnoff Vod for 14 pounds and 49 pence. But it was closely followed by Bacardi at 10 pounds 85.
And then the choices get beautifully chaotic. You've got 3 barrels brandy for 7 pounds 99. You've got whiskey for 6 pounds 69. Gin for 3 pounds 92.
And then there's the wild card.
Yes. My absolute favorite addition to the 1988 house party arsenal. A bottle of Pernod for 6 pounds 99.
Pernod is such a uniquely specific choice for 19-year-olds.
It really is. For those who haven't had the pleasure, Pernod tastes like aggressive, concentrated black licorice.
It is very strong.
It is not a subtle drink at all. It's an aniseed spirit that literally turns cloudy when you add water. Mixing that with cheap gin and Bacardi isn't a cocktail, it's a chemical experiment.
Exactly. And look at the mixer strategy on the receipt to back that up.
Oh yeah, let's
You bought bitter lemon for 58p, Tom juice, which is tomato juice, for 53p, lemonade for 69p, and a tonic water pack for 1 pound 99.
Okay, wow.
Right. When you combine Pernod, 3 barrels brandy, and cheap lemonade in a plastic cup, you are participating in the grand tradition of DIY, unpretentious mixology.
Like what kind of neon-colored, highly questionable concoctions were being handed out once call and speaker started vibrating the wall?
Probably some very dangerous ones.
It's terrifying, but also kind of glorious.
It really is.
Yeah.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this itemized list perfectly defines the flat party culture of 1980s London. You weren't buying for a polite, curated tasting experience with matching glassware.
God, no.
You were buying for volume, variety, and absolute endurance.
And nothing screams volume and endurance quite like the beer selection on this receipt. It is a total tour de force of late 80s British pub staples just dragged into a domestic setting.
Yeah, you've got Castlemaine XXXX for 5 pounds 89. You have Hofmeister for 5.29, which, by the way, famously had a swaggering bear in a pork pie hat as a mascot.
Oh, right. Perhaps rivaling your own hand-drawn rabbit.
A babble of mascots.
Truly. And you've got NC Ewan's Export for 6.69, Smith's Bitter for 6.49, and Newcastle Brown Ale listed as Newcastle BR for 2 pounds 55.
Don't forget the Guinness.
Right, 2 entries for Guinness at 1 pound 79 each, and then the real heavy hitter, 2 purchases of Kestrel for a combined 9 pounds 10.
We really need to explain the cultural significance of Kestrel here.
Please do.
Kestrel Super Strength wasn't just a beverage choice. It was a tactical economic decision. At roughly 9% ABV, it provided the maximum impact for the absolute minimum footprint.
Wow, 9%.
Yeah, it was the absolute undeniable fuel of the late 80s flat party scene.
It was rocket fuel in a can, and we haven't even touched the wine yet, which again perfectly reflects the economic realities of moving out at 19.
The budget wine.
Exactly. You have Vin de Table, literally just table wine for $7.29. You have Rougemont Dry for $5.99. And the absolute classic, spelled without the U on the receipt, Country Manor for $5.99.
Country Manor, the ubiquitous, boxed, or large bottle wine of a generation.
You definitely didn't drink Country Manor because you wanted to appreciate the terroir or note the subtle hints of oak.
No, definitely not.
You drank it because it was $5.99 and it got the job done.
Precisely. But, looking at this incredibly dense list of liquids, we really have to acknowledge the physical reality of December 12th, 1988.
What do you mean?
Well, how did you get this? From store 4142 in Clapham back to the top floor of 26 Jansen Walk in Battersea.
Oh my God. That is a phenomenal point.
Right. You are 19, you don't have a car.
No car at all. We are talking about dozens of glass bottles, massive plastic bottles of mixer, heavy cans of lager, and boxed wine. Over 160 pounds worth of sheer liquid weight.
It highlights the intense physical labor behind the art of the party. You are stuffing this into those flimsy plastic Gateway Food Markets bags that handle stretching and digging deep into your fingers.
The worst pain.
And you are likely dragging this haul onto a London bus, managing it down the pavement, navigating the estate walkways, and then finally lugging it all up the stairs to a top floor flat.
A top floor flat. It is an act of sheer devotion to the cause. You didn't just accidentally have a great time. You planned it, you financed it with a massive cash outlay, and you physically hauled the means of celebration into your new home using pure elbow grease.
So what does this all actually mean?
Let's bring it together.
When we synthesize these artifacts, the map guiding people from the Pine Tavern, the receipt proving the massive liquid foundation, and the mere 72 pence of food, we get a stunningly clear picture of this legendary moment in your life.
It means that leaving home at 19 to move in with Matthew and Anne wasn't just a change of address. It was the creation of a new center of gravity. You used that alcohol and that single grocery item to essentially establish a beacon.
A beacon that drew everyone out of the December cold through the doors of the Pine Tavern at 7 p.m. on December 16th, and then pulled them up the stairs to 26 Jansen Walk.
Yeah.
You introduced yourselves to your new neighbors, not by knocking on their doors with a polite cup of sugar, but by inviting them into a chaotic, joyful marathon.
A marathon powered by Kestrel, Smirnoff, Pernod Mixology, and the relentless bass of Colin's massive speaker vibrating through the floorboards.
Colin is the unsung hero here.
He really is. It just proves that your memory wasn't fuzzy at all. It was incredibly sharp. You really didn't buy any food. You bought an experience. You bought the fuel for a 6-month coming-of-age story.
Which really raises an important question about how we document our lives today, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, think about how we organize events now. It is entirely frictionless.
Oh, completely.
We send out calendar invites that automatically sync across devices. We create temporary WhatsApp groups titled, like, Battersea Housewarming, that exist for a weekend before they get muted, abandoned, and eventually buried in our phones.
Never to be seen again.
Exactly. If we need people to pitch in for drinks, we just send a quick digital request. It's incredibly efficient.
But it's entirely ephemeral. It vanishes into the digital ether the moment the hangover fades.
Yeah,
There's no physical evidence left behind to prove that the night ever happened.
that is exactly it. You have a tangible ink and paper receipt proving you spent 162 pounds on booze and 72 pence on food. You have a hand-drawn map featuring identical twin Santas and a rabbit that physically maps out your world in 1988.
It's beautiful.
It is. In our modern pursuit of total digital convenience, where we never have to draw a map to our homes or carry a physical receipt from a grocery store,
What physical, touchable proof of our own coming-of-age moments are we failing to leave behind for the future?
it's something to seriously think about the next time you tap send on a digital invite. We have basically traded the paper trail of our own youth for convenience.
A perfectly preserved moment in time, captured in 72 pence of groceries, and a cartoon rabbit demanding a bottle.
Keep those artifacts safe. They are absolute gold.